is about giving you guys some incoming freshmen going to college football this year for the first time. Those first years college freshmen that you might want to watch this season that could be some surprises and could be really good. Of course, we're kicking this off with positions at quarterback. You have Bryce Young. He went to Alabama. He was a 5-star. And what can I say? Bryce Young was one of the best players in this class. He was like probably the number 1, number 2 player in everybody's class this year. He's really good and kind of expect to take over that Alabama quarterback spot real quick. Next, we got Luke Doty out of South Carolina. He's a 4-star. South Carolina just doesn't have that many good quarterbacks, really. And with a slim quarterback room, and maybe Luke Doty turns out to be really, really good, he could possibly steal that spotlight and become a freshman to watch. And then I have an honorable mention on here because you have DJ Uiagalelei. I can't pronounce Hawaiian, so wish me luck on that in the future. But he went to Clemson. He was a 5-star too. He was a quarterback like right behind Bryce Young, literally like right behind him. He went to Clemson, of course, so you know he's going to be somewhat good. And as soon as Trevor Lawrence leaves, he'll be stepping in there for the next 2 years for Clemson at quarterback. Me to running back, where a lot of these guys are just top guys, but I got some other guys on here too. So I got Bijan Robinson, of course. He went to Texas. He was a 5-star. Texas doesn't have the deepest running back room, and he won't have like the lead back role, but he'll probably be like the backup of the third stringer, and he'll gain some carries in there. And then we have Zachary Evans, who went to TCU, and he was a 5-star. I kind of expect Zachary Evans to take a big role here soon. Just people have questions about his character, so I don't know how he's really going to translate to the next level. But the good thing, that doesn't really matter here. Zachary Evans went to TCU, and he's going to get a bunch of play time more than likely going there. So that's a good thing for him, and he'll be playing a lot these next 3 years as the star TCU player. Then we have Tank Bigsby. He went to Auburn. He's also a 4-star. He's more than likely going to be splitting carries, going to be the backup or third stringer, and he'll get some carries, just not that many really. Next, we got Kendall Milton. He went to Georgia, and he's a 4-star. He'll more than likely split the carries with Zamir White. I think there's one other one in there too. So it's going to be like a 3-man backfield between those 3, but that should be pretty good for them. And then we have Jahmyr Gibbs. He went to Georgia Tech. He's a 4-star. I think Georgia Tech just had like a whole new offense implemented and like a new head coach. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this guy get on the field right away and make some big splash plays. And then we have Chris Tyree. He went to Notre Dame. He's a 4-star. I imagine he was like a former 5-star, so I imagine Notre Dame's going to somehow get him in some way, somehow. He's going to play as a freshman, I imagine. I'd be shocked if they redshirt him, especially with the talent he has. And the running back they have is the one that coached Christian McCaffrey, so, you know, that's a good sign. But other than that, Notre Dame has a deep running back room, so I don't know how much he's going to see the field, but he definitely will a little bit. Then we have Marshawn Lloyd. He went to South Carolina. He's a 4-star. Kind of like the other guys on here, just not that much depth in front of him. So I could see him taking over like a third-string role right away and just hit the ground running. Then we have DeMarcus Bowman. He went to Clemson. He's a 5-star. This is basically going to be, I imagine, Travis Etienne's backup throughout the year. And then have another 5-star next year coming in, who's Will Shipley, but he'll come in and make bunch of mess in there, probably take over the carries, but more than likely that's what will happen there. And then we have EJ Smith. He went to Stanford. He's a 4-star. Stanford's just losing out here recently. It's just not, they're putting up top 20 classes, just the coaching's terrible. The coach needs fired, that's for sure. And once he gets fired, I imagine this team will do it better, but for now this team's just on the downfall really. And hopefully E.J. Smith can do something about that because they're kind of known for producing decent running backs. Yeah, Bryce Love and then Christian McCaffrey, of course. Next, we got Michael Drennan. He went to Kentucky. He's a 4-star. Just another smaller school, not really known for gaining big targets, big players. Usually like 3-star running backs. But you have this 4-star coming in. Maybe he won't get that many carries. Possibly could get redshirted too. And he should be able to get at least a little bit in there. Then we have Tyreek Murphy going to Purdue as a 4-star. I think this could be like the Rondell Moore for this year for Purdue. Just comes in, absolutely disrupts everything, and kind of just becomes the main guy in the backfield there. And then we got Penny Boone. He went to Maryland, and he's a 4-star. After Anthony McFarland went to the NFL, Maryland doesn't really have that much depth at running back. So I imagine Boone gets put in there right away and could possibly work his way up the depth chart as the season goes on. All right, then we move on to wide receiver. First, you got Rakim Jarrett. He went to Maryland as a 5-star, so yeah, he's probably more than likely going to be starting right off the bat, because if you're Maryland, you ain't benching this kid. And there's a reason, because he's probably going to transfer if you redshirt him. So, play this kid. He'll be a big-time name to know for next season. Then we have Demond Demas. He went to Texas A&M. He's also a 5-star. He may take a little bit to learn the playbook, a little bit to move his way up the depth chart, but I imagine he'll work his way up to like the number 2 guy by the end of the season. So he's one to keep an eye on. Then we have Keyshawn Boot. He went to LSU, also a 5-star. I imagine this could be LSU's Ja'Marr Chase for this year. After losing Justin Jefferson, they just lost a bunch of players. Basically, that whole offense just gone. Not many remaining starters are like Ja'Marr Chase. So I imagine Boot can come in and just do his thing. Then we have Julian Fleming and Jackson Smith. The Jagba, I think is how it's pronounced. But they're both 5-stars. They both went to Ohio State. And Ohio State's been recently like putting out decent, like good wide receivers, really. And Julian Fleming was like the number 1 wide receiver in his class. So I expect at least Fleming to get a bunch of playing time. I don't know about Smith, but we'll see about him. And then we move on to Quentin Johnson, 4-star, who also went to TCU, just like Zachary. It's just TCU doesn't have the greatest talent, plus Jalen Reagor just left, so I imagine he's going to get put into a role at least like 4th, 5th on the depth chart, be able to work his way up throughout the season. Then we have Xavier Betts and Marcus Fleming, both 4-stars who went to Nebraska. Nebraska's just, they're something, all right. Not the greatest team, but they're supposed to be for some reason. Andrew Martinez just hasn't lived up to his height at all. But then we move on to Johnny Wilson. He's a 4-star, went to Arizona State. And they just lost Brandon Ayuk. I kind of expect this guy to work his way up to like at least the number 3. Probably before we even started the season. He's 6'6", and Jaden Daniels in there, he's going to be a big target for Jaden Daniels. Just throw up a jump ball for him. I imagine those two start clicking off right from the start. Then we have Darian Turner. He was a 4-star that went to Arkansas. And also we have Porter Rooks as a 4-star who went to North Carolina State. Just not many talents that really go to these 2 colleges, so I imagine they probably work their way up the depth chart pretty quickly. That moves me to tight end, where we have Michael Mayer is a 5-star that went to Notre Dame. Notre Dame just doesn't have much at their tight end position right now. Like, they have 1 guy, maybe 2. So Michael Mayer, I expect to get some playing time early. And I imagine he'll work his way up to at least the number 2 by the end of the season. Then we have Eric Gilbert. He's a 5-star, went to LSU. Kind of just like Boot. It's just LSU's whole offense kind of left them. So if you get these young guys in here, get them to start playing now, maybe in a couple years you'll be able to be championship bound. Then we have Malik Carr, a 4-star, went to Purdue. Purdue, once again, doesn't really get these type of talents very often, at least on the offensive side. So I expect Carr to get some playing time and to go along with Rondell Moore and their other new star running back, hopefully. That brings me to defense. And just a warning, most defensive players, hard to predict to have good freshman seasons or just predict to watch. Usually it's going to be cornerbacks or safeties are the players to watch on defense, or linebackers every once in a while. But usually on the D-line, D-line, offensive line, I didn't bother doing offensive line because that's basically unpredictable. D-line, though, is just a lot of guys take at least a year to fully develop, fully get into the weight room, fully get up the strength of everybody at the college level. Same with linebackers, usually. Cornerbacks, some of them are just athletes enough. They're able to just go in and play with the best. And same with safeties. Usually those are guys you're going to see go first round in their draft in the next 3 years. So, but moving on, that takes me to defensive tackle, where we have Jordan Burch. and he went to South Carolina. So, you know how they just lost Javon Kinlaw? Yeah, they got Jordan Burch now. Probably won't be Kinlaw's level at first, but he's going to work his way up to being as physical as Kinlaw was. So that's going to be fun to watch. Next, we got Kendrick Bingley Jones. It's a 4-star that went to North Carolina. I imagine he'll go in, get some playing time, maybe not being the starter right away, but he'll go in and make some impact, I imagine, right away. Then we have Patrick Jenkins, 4-star out of TCU. They just lost their defensive tackle to the draft. So, well, their star defensive tackle to the draft. So I imagine he goes in, takes over that, like, at least will be some depth at first. Maybe he can work his way up to the third as the season prolongs. And then that moves me on to the defensive end, where we got Myles Murphy, a 4-star that went to North Carolina. And I imagine it's the same as Bingley Jones. He's just going to work his way up the depth chart, really. And then we have the other Myles Murphy. That's a 5-star that went to Clemson. Totally not confusing at all. Didn't really plan this at all either. Just 2 players I thought probably going to get some playing time. Just depth pieces, though. So, might make some flash plays. So some players should just really keep an eye on during the season. Then at linebacker, we have Justin Flowe and Noah Swell. Both of them 5-stars and went to Oregon. Both of them best 2 linebackers in this class. And let me tell you, they're probably going to be depth pieces at first. I can see 1 or 2 of them like producing and making their way up the depth chart, though. Special, but good thing is they're at Oregon, so maybe they won't be able to. They're going to be playing, though, and I imagine they'll at least be rotating in on third downs or stuff like that. Or at least late in the season, they'll probably be playing even more. Then we have Trenton Simpson. He's a 5-star, went to Clemson, and he played running back before, so I'm just going to go out with a little hunch. He could possibly be like a Isaiah Simmons-ish role for Dabo Swinney in that offense. Maybe not right away, but maybe he starts trying to develop him into it. So that should be fun to watch. Then we go to cornerback. This is where the more fun players start. First, we got Kelly Ringo. He's a 5-star, went to Georgia. More likely going to be starting right off the bat. And I imagine he'll make flash plays right off the bat as well. Be on the lookout for this guy. Then, next, we got Elias Ricks, a 5-star that went to LSU. Derek Stingley went to LSU last year. Made immediate impact. I imagine Ricks does the same. They have a cornerback spot open opposite of Stingley, too. He could also play some nickel to start out. But I imagine Ricks starts out at LSU just fine. Then we have Dante Manning. He's a 5-star, went to Oregon. I imagine he starts lower on the depth chart, but possibly could just be the nickel role to start. I mean, he's the athlete enough to just get it done there. And he's going to be someone to watch. Next, we got Damari Tate. Is a 4-star, went to Florida State. They just lost someone to the draft. I think it was Stanford Samuel. And I think it might have been there might have been another guy in there too. So their depth's a little on the weak side. Plus, this guy was like a fringe 5-star almost too. I imagine he can work his way up the depth chart pretty well in that weak Florida State cornerback room. Then we have Clark Phillips. Is a 4-star, is going to Utah. They just lost Jalen Johnson, so it's good to have a talent like this going in. Probably another player just going to rise up the depth charts eventually. And then next, we also have Conte Jenkins. He's a 4-star, went to TCU. He's probably the same as Clark Phillips, just another guy who's going to rise up the depth chart eventually throughout the season. That moves me to safety, where first we got Jalen Jones. Best safety in the class, was a 5-star, went to Texas A&M. He's more than likely going to make immediate impact at Texas A&M. I imagine you keep this guy at least on for dime packages, keep him on for third downs. He's going to be playing at least a little bit, kind of like Kyle Hamilton type role that he did at Notre Dame. Then we have Miles Slusher. He's a 4-star, went to Arkansas. Arkansas is not really known for getting this type of talent. He was like a high 4-star too, so you know where that is. And I imagine Slusher can make immediate impact on this team and probably rise up the depth chart pretty fast, at least as a third safety, probably going to be starting safety by the end of the season. And that's the same way with Jacarius Conley. He's a 4-star, went to North Carolina. I imagine he's the same as Slusher, just another guy, maybe a little bit lower in the depth chart, but you can at least find a spot at either a starting safety spot or that third safety spot that comes in on like time packages by the end of the season. So those are those freshmen to watch this coming up college football season. If you guys have any names I missed, I want to hear those down below. Put a good argument behind them because I'm going to be judging them a little bit. But we'll have a nice framing conversation down below. And of course, if you have a suggestion for another video, make sure to put that down below as well. And who knows, it may end up being the next video. So of course, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to click the links down below if you have Instagram, Twitter, Discord, and Patreon. And of course, just make sure to keep the sports week flowing throughout the day.